streets of New York, young people rhyming, rhyming, rhyming.
Mr. Man.
Having fun, rhyming, rhyming. McDonald's.
Big Macs.
Young people banging on tables, rhyming, rhyming.
Some purchase and...
You know, I predicted Spin That and the discourse surrounding it earlier this year when I made this video discussing the current state of hip-hop and its foundations deeply rooted within the structures of capitalism to today, where greedy corporations, internet clout and algorithms do everything they can to dictate the direction of the culture. Spin That is the past, present, and future of the culture, all packaged into one, but maybe in a different way than we discussed a decade ago.
Tell me what you want from hip-hop.
I don't know. I mean...
You don't think that's a question you should answer at some point?
What do I want from hip-hop?
Or are you leaving all of this to QC to figure out?
Nah, I mean, I'm making music, bro. I'm just having fun. Chill.
It feels more consequential this time, with the backdrop of a major recession and hip-hop being on more of a mainstream decline, whereas it was entering its peak popularity back then. The track is not only a great example of what it feels like when hip-hop has motion again, you know, that uniform collective energy that hasn't really been seen since Not Like Us, more on that later, but it also gives us the exact low-frequency vibration that's a vibe. It's a bop, but literally at what cost? Like, to the culture and the people in it. I got answers for you. Let's get into it.
It was at this time I realized I was the coldest motherfucker ever.
You know, I love hip hop. I really do. And if you're watching this, then you probably love hip hop too. You know, hip hop since its inception in the underground of New York, it's been built on the real. You know, authenticity, authority, good vibes. Hip hop brings people together. It's a tool for profound social resistance, and following the music and the spirit of hip hop is exactly what's put me on the path that I'm on today. It's arguably the most powerful cultural force on the planet. It dictates global fashion, slang, and politics. But right now, the culture, it's kind of trapped in a little bit of like a paradox. When it comes to some of the issues I feel like hip hop has been having, you know, there's the usual pain points, the violence, the misogyny, the materialism. The older I get, the more it's just not hitting. But maybe even more than that, I can't shake this feeling that things have been like a little unfocused, a little too unfocused for a while. And especially as we get further from its core foundations, but it's 50 years old, so it's gonna change somewhat in that time, but like hear me out. It's a complicated situation. One of the most powerful things about hip hop is that it gives a voice to the voiceless. It's the definitive language of the marginalized, but maybe there's too many voices shouting, and I'm not just talking about the Razors. They be shouting. They be shouting. I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of junk out there, and oversaturation because of the internet. If there's anything those original mystical gatekeepers gave us, it was at least some consistency in quality. Now there's a bunch of times where I have to stop and genuinely ask, who is this for? But that view, it's a little too on the surface. Here's what's really happening. We have a culture built on expression against suppression, but it's being gentrified, commodified, and encapsulated by a hyper-capitalistic algorithmic machine in real time. The system, it wants to keep us dysregulated, disharmonious, constantly chasing the bag for their entertainment. Today, the modern music industry is overtly attempting to strip the culture of its revolutionary power. I want to take a look at the structural architecture that dictates what gets made and what gets heard, what gets played, what gets shared, what gets pushed versus what gets missed. Here's the main idea. Like I said before, Black American culture, it's been built and commodified in real time. As a Black American, it's actually been one of the craziest, most wildly unique experiences being able to be a part of the development and evolution of the culture as it's happening. Meanwhile, the industry, which is driven by the digital attention economy, is intentionally keeping the cultural frequency low. It systematically prioritizes friction, outrage, and hyper-individualism over community healing. Because over the years, we've seen just how much algorithms prove one indisputable rule. Digital friction sells exponentially better than peace. But what happens when the culture decides to fight back, both politically and sonically? Let's talk about the real-time commodification of hip-hop. Throughout human history, ancient cultural and spiritual traditions have been afforded centuries of isolation to solidify their healing practices. They had incubation periods to figure it out, but hip-hop didn't get that luxury. Being born in the late 20th century, the moment a new cadence, dialect, slang, aesthetic is created, it's immediately identified, extracted, and sold by your unfriendly global media conglomerate. The culture is stripped of its complex lived context and is packaged into a more palatable aesthetic for mass consumption. And literally topping it all off are a bunch of white people taking in the vast majority of profits as they actively support low vibrational acts that just continue to dilute the culture. And look at the environment producing this art. In 2022, the median net worth of a Black household was $44,000 compared to $284,000 for a white household. The racial wealth gap is crazy. It tells a story that America is always been founded on: profound economic displacement. And when you have that level of systemic disparity, you get survivalism. As wealth inequality grows, so does the gap in love for our brothers. A lot of the ideals that really define the culture today really do more to promote that hyper-individualistic, trust no one, get it by any means, danger mindset. It's just pick yourself up by the bootstraps rebranded. And the music is just holding up a mirror to the severely broken capitalistic times. But because the pain generates clicks, the algorithm, it's always going to force it to the top. But I'm going to pause to acknowledge that, undeniably, there's always going to be the entertainment aspect. I'm not sure we have to take everything seriously or be so overtly positive all the time. I mean, some of my favorite, most impactful songs on me, pretty awful content-wise. Different degrees of debauchery, misogyny, pro-hustle culture. It gets it done from time to time. Can't even count. But I know at this point for me, it's not entirely necessary. Like I can live without it. A good hit a lick anthem, you know, like as far as fun as it is, like what is it doing to really advance the culture? Black people have always had each other. We've always found a way to come together for a good time. There was no Sexy Red at the disco. Lil Baby did not have to perform on Soul Train for people to get out there and still bust down. But now, again, jumping back, tech platforms, social media platforms, they all rely on revealed preferences, the things that you sit and watch, that you linger on a little too long, that you click on, that, you know, they're always monitoring that stuff, rather than stated preferences, which are the things you search for, that you say you value, that you actively choose to engage with. And they do this because they know that human biology is hardwired for responding to threats and outrage. The music industry itself exploits this. Algorithms penalize songs that are skipped in the first 30 seconds, which forces artists to front load their tracks with catchy, repetitive hooks or like shocking statements. In essence, long form storytelling is sacrifice for that instant gratification. And now hip hop, for how great it is at evolving, the attention economy does make it a little messy. Let's look at Black Harlow. Black Harlow, who has been going on an obvious PR tirade. Everybody's making a video on it, sometimes multiple, but like, it's just engineered outrage. Like, why are we giving that mess our energy in the first place? Just to give us a few clicks and views when he's clearly just trolling? And I mean, I get it. I understand if you don't address it in some ways, then other outsiders may see it and think,
oh, well, he got a pass. Ain't nobody say nothing about it, so maybe I can do it too.
But at this point in big 2026, I just feel like the white people's ridiculousness has been addressed so much that if you still on that type of time, come on, dog. People know they shouldn't be doing that. And if you are, then you're just being blatantly disrespectful. To me, there really isn't anything new to be added to a conversation about white antics and black spaces. But now bringing it back to people actually in the culture and using their voice to make an impact. Let's talk about La Russell. La Russell shows the polarity that comes with forcing a more blanketed positivity. On one hand, there's a discussion that he started a little while back. He was criticizing Lil Wayne for his lack of substance. La Russell credited Wayne with being a foundational artist for him, like many artists. Obviously, someone that we study to sharpen our pen and really get a hold of our own artistry. But despite Wayne's elite lyrical ability, La Russell stated Wayne just wasn't talking about nothing and ultimately is just lacking in restorative substance. Technical greatness alone doesn't excuse an artist from their cultural responsibilities. La Russell does a lot of personal great things for the culture, but as we've seen from, his more recent controversy, that it can easily slip into a more toxic positivity when you aren't, careful with your messaging. He put out that Heaven Sent track. Should listen to the engineers, bro. Where he equated our civil rights leaders to historically evil men. And that's probably not the answer either. But ultimately, it always comes back to us. The industry wants us to keep fighting in the comments. If we keep clicking the rage bait, that gives the industry more reason to keep starving the underprivileged communities that gift us hip hop's, greatest talents of any real resources. The algorithm thrives when the culture is dysregulated. And some of these think pieces and reaction videos just give the machine exactly what it feeds on. We need to make sure we're expending our energy more mindfully. Yo, real quick, thank you for watching. Thank you for making it this far. This channel is all about exploring the intersection between music, travel, and mental health and the way that they work together to help us figure out what it really feels like and means to live through the heart. If that sounds like something you want to explore further or just interested in more tools and deep dives just like this, drop a like, subscribe. I got way more ideas in the tuck. Let's get it.
You got a lot of societies and governments trying to be God, wishing that they were God. They want to create satellites and cameras everywhere, make you think they got the all seeing eye.
Now, what do you think happens when you decouple hip hop from Western corporate commodification? You get actual geopolitical revolution.
América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde tierra.
Bienvenido a la generación del yo no me dejo, lo quiero Puerto Rico.
Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos.
My name is Julie Baghdad and I'm a rap artist, hip hop artist from Senegal, and I'm also an activist, founding member of a social movement, a youth movement called Y'en a marre, which means we are fed up.
Youth participation is expected to be higher than usual in this election.
As a grassroots politician, he was helping people like my mum bring their children to this country, when they were separated from their child.
So let me get this straight. You managed to help get your visa with the help of Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah,
You've come
when I was
to the
a
UK.
kid, when I was 10. I'm basically an immigrant, but I've not claimed benefits. I've added value to England and not taken away.
I don't know why the corruption is too much.
Museveni and these brutal people are on their way out.
Many times, as you have seen, they are hounding us. They are beating us left, right, and center. They are tear gassing us. They pepper spray us. They even shoot live bullets at us. Every day, there are 99 reasons for us to give up because it's dangerous. But there's one big reason for us to keep going. That is the love, the motivation, the support and solidarity.
We've already seen hip hop bring people together on a wildly impressive scale. Kendrick during BLM, F Donald Trump, fight the power. This is America. But have y'all seen what's going on in Nepal? Balen Shah. Remember that name. He's a 35-year-old engineer and rapper who pulled off one of the greatest political upsets in modern history. And he did it by channeling the frustrations of a disillusioned Gen Z into a massive, massive movement. He challenged the former 4-time prime minister and won in a landslide, securing the most votes in the history of Nepal's parliamentary elections. They also burned down parliament right before that. We might have to do that too. This proves that hip hop is inherently revolutionary. It just is. It's just been built under capitalism, under suppression. Imagine what we could be with an abundance of resources. Imagine if we were more broadly able to create from a place of safety and security rather than violence and drugs and numb to pain. What could the culture achieve in the West if its most influential voices directed more energy towards structural reform instead of just fueling an engine backed by algorithmic capitalism? For hip hop to evolve, that shift has to happen on multiple levels. Not just in lyrics, but in the literal, physical frequencies that make up the music.
An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved.
On this channel, we find harmony and define what it takes to achieve long-lasting inner peace. So that's a big factor into why I've been making the deliberate choice to literally change the frequency of my music. Let me show you what I mean. So in the mid-20th century, the world adopted A equals 440 hertz as the standard tuning to sync up the global music economy. Why did they choose 440? I'll link an article below in case you want to read more about it. But from what I can tell, they created the standard to further economic efficiency. You know, like everything. Daylight savings time, you know. But legitimate clinical research does show that alternative frequencies like 432 hertz can actually lower mean blood pressure and decrease heart rates compared to 440 hertz. Very big for the Black community, especially. Better diets, better frequencies. So when a producer goes into their DAW and shifts the tuning down to 432 hertz or up a little bit to 444 hertz to hit the 528 hertz solfeggio frequency, that in itself is an act of cultural rebellion. It's a small change, but can lead to more longer-term harmony.
With the original intelligence. But engineers have discovered that lightning and other electrical disturbances have a negligible effect on the frequency of a radio wave. And so they started reasoning. Why not hold the amplitude constant, and vary the frequency or wavelength, and make it carry the message?
Hip-hop is at a critical historical fork. It's an unrivaled global force, but it's tethered to a system that demands perpetual friction, trauma, production, hyper-individualism. The decline of mainstream artistic substance isn't an accident. It's the intended result of the attention economy, explicitly designed to keep populations disharmonious so that we keep scrolling. But we hold the leverage. Algorithms dictate production based off of our consumption. By more intentionally and mindfully deciding what to click on, what we subscribe to, by looking to actively support artists who promote community solidarity and emotional vulnerability, we can retune the algorithm. The evolution of hip-hop requires a conscious, structural decoupling from the more destructive incentives. The system wants us agitated, so we keep scrolling. But we can actively choose to stop supporting and engaging with the controversies. If the cultural force of hip-hop can dismantle corrupt regimes in Asia, its potential to enact deliberate change anywhere else is limitless. The cultural frequency has been kept low for a reason, but we don't have to keep playing those industry games. If we want to rewrite our stories of struggle and pain, it starts with where we direct our attention and how we tune our art. It's time to change the frequency.
We are hip-hop. Me, you, everybody. We we are hip hop.
But now bringing them. Damn, somebody sneezy as hell. But now bringing it back to people who are actually in the culture and using their voice to make an impact.